So, you want to take out your rear motor mount, but the TM says take out your K-member. Fuck that. So, I'm going to show you how to work around it. This is assuming you already know how to remove that piece and your headers. I'm going to show you step by step what bolts to take out, what order, what tools you need, and this is all based on you doing it flying solo with no assistance. So, from this angle, my feet are pointed along with the driver's side hub assembly. And there's your ATX, oil pan, drive shaft, and your rear motor mount. Now the biggest pain is that guy right there. That bolt, because of the clearance, it's hard to get it out. Also, right I got so many fingers. Right there, back in there, there's a bolt that goes in there. That's also hard to get out. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna remove that nut bolt combo, and with our other hand, we're gonna push the transaxle, swinging it forward, because we already have our front mount removed. Since we still have the transmission mount and the passenger side hydraulic mount installed, the engine will hang. It's not going to sag at all. It's actually pretty stout. I'll show you how to do that in a sec. So, the motor mount bolt has been pulled out. I'm now going to show you how freely this setup swings. Here's a better angle. A lot of movement, right? So, the theory behind pulling out that rear mount. Remember that bolt I was showing you is a pain? See all that room we got now? We pull it aside. You can hold it back, working a wrench back and forth, and pull it out. I hope you can see what's going on here. There's my wrench, and there's the bolt we're trying to get to. Grab my half shaft, use your back muscles, and you're pulling it out and away. That one's really stuck in there. Get you a cheater wrench. I've broken the torque on it. Let's see if I can just finger fuck it out now. Finger fuck. Right now, there's no more room to pull it out. So all I'm doing is rocking the engine, giving me room to finger fuck it out. It's never gonna come all the way out. When it comes time to pull this entire back member that bolts onto the transmission, that bolt is going to drop with it. It will not be fully removed. Alright, so I took out that top bolt that I just showed you a picture of. This bolt is fully removed. It's just chilling with that member. So I'm going to attempt to show you what to do. I only have two hands. One's got to hold the camera, so let's see how this goes. As I'm using my left hand, I'm bracing it against the K-frame, and I'm just pretty much curling the engine. See how that works? So, try and get this camera so everyone can see, because this is the biggest pain in the butt. All I'm doing, I don't know if you can see that or not, but all I'm doing is just working her up. I curl it with the left arm and just work her up out of the way. There you go. So now that you have this back great piece of aluminum out of the way, now you have all the room to remove this bolt, this bolt, so you got that one and that one on the back side. You've got a bolt there, and you've got a bolt there. You no longer have to remove the K member. Now these two are relatively easy to get to right here with just basic wrenches and or ratchets. The one that's trickiest is this one. There's no room for you to work a ratchet or wrench in here. So what you need to do is you need to have a good, I'd say, 2, maybe 3 feet worth of extensions. Top view of your rear mount. You got the bolt right there. See if I can. Right there, where my shadow's hidden. That can be gotten from the bottom if you want, but I do it from the top. We already up here. The tricky one. Right there, where my shadow's hidden. That's the one that you gotta get from up here. Using that 1/2" drive, long extension, adapter, 3/8 drive, long extension to a 14mm. That is your money maker. Money! Now, if you think I'm going to pull out my motor mount just to show you how to put it back in, you lost your mind. But what I will do is I'll show you what you need to accomplish the task. Okay, so your old one, it's rubbery, you know, it's got your little cuts in it, whatever, your flag mount. You need one of these. Yeah, cooking with gas. You need one of these so that you can burn it out. It takes some time. All you're doing is you're pretty much just cooking out the old mount. Eventually, it's going to become brittle enough and melted enough that you can push it out, work it out with your screwdrivers, hammers, that kind of thing. You're definitely going to want a Dremel to clean up the inner side of the metal casing. Once you do that, okay, it's all cleaned up, ready to rock and roll up. You take your new mount and you boil it. That's right, you heard me, you boil it. Boil it for a good, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes. This will not melt, I promise you. And what's crazy is I got the idea from my wife. I couldn't figure out how to massage the bitch in there. Even with grease and screwdrivers and mallets and kicks, couldn't get in there. And she said, well, why don't you just warm it up? You know, why don't you just boil it, make it more pliable? I was like, oh my God, I love my wife, she's brilliant. So, we boiled it for 20 minutes. You get it set, okay? You get it set on top of there, and all you're doing is with the grease, okay, you already put your grease on it. This does require 2 people. You have the one guy using a screwdriver trying to work the lip, trying to work this, because it's face down, right? Trying to slowly get in. Working that lip in there, while the other guy is either using the hammer or is applying body weight. And you're just literally pressing it in. You want to make sure you use a lot of lube. Lots of lube. Boil it, lube it, finesse it, and yeah. Seriously, if my wife can figure out this idea, I'm sure you can too. It wasn't that hard, honestly. You just gotta have some patience. You've removed your factory mounts. You've put in your new ones. Now you're ready to install them. And you're ready to also install your long tube headers that you got from eBay or wherever. I got mine from eBay. I mean, I wanted long tubes, I didn't want shorties. I'll bet you can get them. Rip doesn't make them anymore. So, OBX long tubes. This is your setup. I got my fronts wrapped already. It kind of fell off. Just doing some road racing, but that's not the point. Alright. This is your setup. In order of installation. Now there is one piece I'm missing. I am missing the test pipe that it came with. Mine's welded to the vehicle. I got a picture that I'll try to inject here real quick. Alright, that's how I got mine set up. So, going back to video, you want to install your rear bank header first. Okay, you're going to install it up here at the flange. Then you want to go ahead and put in your pipe, your joining pipe. Then the front header. Make the front header be your last one because it is the easiest to do. If you put in the front, then that piece, you're going to have a pain in the dick hole time trying to get that header in there. So, it's not going to be full comprehensive. I'm sure you guys can figure out how to thread on the nut and the washer. But I am going to try to give you some tips where the best angle of attack, where the best approach angle is. You've already removed your rear mount. You followed my little tips I gave you on how to do the front. It's an identical thing. you boil it, grease it, force it. It fits. That's exactly the way I did it. And we install for this aluminum mount the exact same way I showed you to take it out, using the rock method. We're gonna rock the engine forward and just kind of finesse her in there. Remember, when you go to install this bracket for the motor mount at the transaxle, gotta make sure that bolt is in there. Remember, there wasn't enough clearance between the transaxle and your K-member for you to try to thread that bolt in, holding the bracket. It has to be installed as one unit. Now you're ready to install your rear bank header. Now I did it with the O2 already installed. It's much easier to thread it into the header while it's removed. Because if you try to install it with it, try to put the O2 sensor with the header installed, your wires tend to creep up and wrap around themselves. Yes, I know that's not perfect, it's not pretty, but it's a quick patch job for me. I had some issues. Don't worry about that. Focus on the headers. Headers equals power. I'm going to show you how to finesse this thing in here. This way is the front of the vehicle. That way is the rear. So you got your header. This is the flange that goes to your test pipe or exhaust, however you have it set up. Okay. To properly feed it, you're going to have to bring it up at an angle, working around your power steering rack and your sway bar. You just got to work her around. Eventually, you will get it all the way fed. Once you get to about here, move the camera to right there. So now you're looking at the header coming over the K-member, going up to the rear bank. You reach through the front, okay, and you're just gonna feed and massage the header up from the bottom. Now I have 2 extra hoses right there for my transmission filter, so you won't have that. So yeah. You doing these headers, I'm sure by now you've figured out that you're going to have to extend your O2s. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but I'm going to give you some tips. When you go to cut the wires and extend them, you need to do that one wire at a time. That way you don't get it mixed up. If you get it mixed up, you start cross-doing circuits and shit just goes fucking. Alright, you get Christmas tree lights going on. So, I'm going to show you the way I routed it, the way I piped my stuff. So, it's probably a better idea to actually splice the harness itself, not the sensor, so that way if you do have to replace it, you're not extending a whole sensor. But I did, because I wanted to maintain the factory locations. So, there's my my downstream for bank 2. And my upstream for bank 2. Now how I routed these, okay, I piped it along in between the coolant lines, and it's actually, can't see it really, but I have it going all along the lower plenum. And then I have it cut down over an AC line behind the ABS motor down to the bottom. Twice I tried to just zip tie it to other things and it fell off and it would cook on the headers. That's a bad day. That ruins everything. You start blowing engine fuses and strange things that make no sense start happening. So be beyond conservative when you go to route your O2 lines. If not, you're gonna have problems like I did. So both of these channels, okay, the one got routed to the left and down over top. The other one, I ran it underneath the factory harness. Comes around right here, and down there. Okay. My point being, find a way to tuck it so that way it's not just looking like a clusterfuck. But you need to be conservative in how you pipe and route it. You will be maintaining the use of your factory EGR. If you try to be slick and do an EGR delete, like you can get away with other cars, this one does not like it. You will lose power slightly, but you will lose a significant amount of gas mileage, and the computer's gonna freak out. Just keep it, okay? You can see mine's dinged up. I stuck it in a vise to try to force it to mate with the intake manifold, because the angle of that bung for the EGR isn't anywhere near correct how it should be for placement. I also have the intake manifold spacer from Outlaw Engineering back when they're still in business, so it's even more complicated. If you're just running the headers, you know, it's tricky to finagle it, but if you run in both the headers and the manifold spacer, it is tricky. It definitely takes some caressing and manhandling. Not only is the angle jacked up from the bung, but you're also adding about 1/4, 3/8 of an inch of lift on top of all the other geometry changes. So, good luck to you. Figure it out. While I'm here, now I know I just said figure it out, but I'm gonna give you some tricks. Per Outlaw Engineering instructions, they told us to go ahead, attach the EGR to the intake manifold, okay? Yours will not be like this yet, but it will. Okay, you put it on as good as you can, thread on a couple nuts, all right, just enough to secure it, so that way it doesn't fall off. Now, I don't like this idea. Ryan, hey, never mind, I have a 3-year-old, okay? They said to use the intake manifold bolts, because right now, the manifold is sitting like that, towards the back. They want you to use the bolts to pull it down, stretching the EGR. I don't like that, just because you're using aluminum to stretch hard steel. I don't like it, but I was able to do it. It works. It does take some patience. Use a torque wrench. If you do not have a torque wrench, don't do this. Do not do this, because you will start pulling threads. We have a problem.